Oh, hello there. This is actually the second time I'm recording all this because I just was an idiot and accidentally deleted all my audio. Aren't I wonderful? Okay, so there's been a few stress tests going on lately, but they've all been at bad times for me to play and record. So I did, however, get 2 hours of playing time in one of them. In those 2 hours, I actually managed to play 4 parts of the game, which I'm showing off to you today. First off, there's the main part of the game. Played in the overworld, this part is mainly doing quests. These are the most celebrated part of Guild Wars 2, and they go away from the classic formula of the WoW style of quest. These new dynamic quests scale to the amount of players doing them and usually have multiple ways to complete them. Say you need to help with a farm. Maybe you can plant some stuff. Maybe you can water some stuff. Or maybe you can kill the giant worms eating it. It's really up to you. And it's worth noting that these quests come in actually 2 varieties. There are actual dynamic quests, which are rare, and then heart quests, which are common. Heart quests do what I just described. They have multiple objectives, they have scaling, yada yada yada. The thing that goes into dynamic quests, the actual dynamic quest, which is what they're called, is that they lead you into further questing. If you succeed at one, it goes up in the chain of quests. If you, on the other hand, fail to complete a quest in time, it will put you back down in the chain of quests. It's kind of cool like that because it makes the world feel real. It makes the world feel like it goes on when you're not there. It goes back down, it goes back up, and while that's kind of artificial, it's enough to make it feel different. And that really leads to what I think of the whole system. The dynamic quests are just great most of the time. And while the heart quests are good sometimes, I feel like people will get just as bored of the heart quests as they did of traditional quests in original MMOs like WoW. When WoW came out, the quest was an original idea. It wasn't an original idea. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say WoW invented the quest, obviously. But that kind of questing in an MMO was a new thing. It was the new thing as opposed to grinding. Before that, grinding just meant you just kill and kill and kill everything in a way to get XP to level up. Quests, now people consider quest grinding. It's funny, and I'm sure in a year from now, heart quests will also be considered just grinding. Every kind of innovation eventually gets boring. Overall, though, it is a nice evolution to an MMO leveling system, and I'm sure the quests will remain fresh for a while. Okay, now the next gameplay element we look at is the personal story. While you can play the game entirely through the heart and dynamic quests with big groups, there is also an option for people that like a more story-based game. The thing is, to really get that story, you sacrifice the multiplayer part of MMO. Massively multiplayer online game. It's not something I really understand. To me, if I'm playing an MMO, I want to play it with other people. The only exception I can see is if an MMO can actually offer a better single-player experience than an actual good single-player game, and I don't see that really happening with Guild Wars 2. This is based off minor observation from this stress test and past plays, but I don't think it's as good as any large single-player game you can get. The example I can give right now is just the start of my Ranger's personal quest. I was given the goal of retrieving an item from a cave. I had to fight my way through some basic mobs and then fight a boss type to get it. The thing is, all this was instanced. I don't really see why it needed to be instanced in the first place. The rest of the game is based off people just being able to hop in and hop out anytime. I just don't see why this couldn't have been implemented with more elements from the rest of the game. I don't see why it couldn't have been implemented in the overworld, because that cave actually exists in the main world, and I do not really see any reason why that quest couldn't exist in the main world. I'm just a little disappointed that it didn't implement at least certain parts of the personal story within the world. I guess this is part of the game that is no good for me, but good for people who want a more single-player experience in an MMO. I am not one of these people, but I know they exist, and I think upon game release, I'm going to skip this part of the game personally. Maybe I will go back on another character and do some personal story stuff if I hear from someone that one personal story or another is particularly good. Okay, over with that depressing overlook of mine. It's time for the fun part. PvP. First off, there's just so much fun you can get from PvP in this game. PvP in general, it's a really fun experience. The combat in this game is pretty cool. If you find a class that you like, it's great. I've already done a video on structured PvP, but I think I'll cover it in small detail right now. Structured PvP takes place in a variety of objective-based maps. The casual side of it plays 8v8, whilst the competitive side of it plays 5v5. This leads to some cool strategic gameplay and smaller team fights. Smaller team fights, to me, are a lot more fun. You have a bigger impact yourself, and I think I'm going to mention that impact you have yourself a few times. I'm not trying to be selfish here, but it is a large part of the game, how much you feel like you have an impact on the world. And when playing structured PvP, you feel like you have not an influence on the world, but an influence on whether or not you win that fight. Anyway, I love structured PvP. Going into it solo, it's the best experience I've had. The game plays mainly by the capture of points to increase your score, and the first person to a certain score wins. There's a couple maps that go away from that formula, and there's some cool things in each little map. So knowing the maps is a large, important part of the game. And you can get some really good strategic wins out of the game, or if not, you can at least get into some fights that feel awesome when you win them. World PvP, on the other hand, is something quite different. It's known as World v World v World, and it makes sense, because 3 servers compete to conquer fortresses, small and large, and the winning servers get server-wide boosts. From the perspective of a solo player, this wasn't quite as much fun as the structured PvP, because you don't really matter nearly as much on a personal level. You jump into the game, and you jump into a horde of people. Sometimes that horde will get into a large fight, and those can be fun. And other times, they'll just be bashing on a door. When you're going in solo without anyone to play with, like I just mentioned I did, this is boring, and it sounds boring, I'm sure. But I think this is really where the game might shine when you're playing with a larger guild. When you're bashing on the door, it's a good time to just relax. And then you see some guys coming up behind you. Have a large fight, go back to bashing the door, relax a little more, then go and invade that keep. It's just immersive. It's awesome, really. There's also just some gems in the World v World experience. You get some memories out of it. Like I just mentioned, my most vivid memory of the stress test was the time I walked into one of our keeps and enemies were in the middle of invading. I didn't let them see me. There were some people of my team lying around dead on the ground. I revived them, and we all helped push the enemy out of the keep. It was something that actually did make me feel like I had an impact on the world. And I think that's the strength of the mode. It's just an immersive experience in general, and will leave you some memories, a hell of a lot of memories. Not to mention the camaraderie you feel with people of your server. You constantly have people crying out, "Oh, I need help over here," or "Oh, I need 12 people to come take this small keep with me. Let's go get this supply camp." It's a great experience. You have natural leaders that are coming out, and all these people just working together to conquer this little world. It's awesome, and it's why I'll play this game for a long time. The heart quest will get old quick, I think. The story is not my favorite part of the game, but the PvP will keep me going. I cannot wait for the release of this game. And I have to say that one thing I have not tried is the dungeons. The dungeons There are a few of them, and they are known to actually be pretty damn hard. There's a story mode, and then there's a exploration mode, in which they're actually really difficult. So I can't wait to try that, and I'll probably make a video about that after release. In terms of what I enjoyed the most overall, you'd already know it's PvP, and considering World v World gives experience, upon release I'll probably be playing that for 90% of the time. I can't wait for that release, and I hope to see you there. I will be playing on Jade Quarry. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe and let me know. I'll see you next time.
Oh.